You can choose your misery with some, pretty girl that, whatever, that you just... And I honestly find it
if your man
interesting
is
for you to say
seeking,
smart.
it's probably because you're not satisfying
I would
your
encourage,
man.
right, so exactly. Do not discredit intelligence of others. Please do not use that word.
But marrying or committing to? No, absolutely not. My son will, marry an accountant. Not one of my sons would I allow to even date one of you girls.
Okay.
Because you don't shut up. It has been fun. It has been an honor. We're going hiking.
Yes.
79T 2458 Learning Corp, Little Red Riding Hood, take one.
"40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone." Does that make sense?
Where they say there are Indian people pooping on our beach.
It's a spool of wire. 40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone.
Hey, fellas, it's so good to see you. Welcome, Saturday morning. Who does a podcast on Saturday morning and has two thumbs? This guy. So today's show is going to be it's one of the shorter ones because I'm going to switch over at 10-ish and we're going to start talking about spy movies on Orion too. Orion, the best gonzo movie review storytelling channel on the goddamn internet. What can I tell you? All right, I see you guys in chat here. You know what? I want to pop this window a little bit closer. Feels more intimate when I'm looking at the chat while it looks like I'm looking at the camera because then you guys get to think I'm looking at you. I believe that's what the parasocials do. Raising a plastic straw to you. Oh my God, is that Dave? It is. Thank you, sir. Told that story. Okay, for context on that one, why that's such a sad thing. I went down to the States to visit Clary and Rolo last month. And it was just weird because everything I did was slightly better than anything else back home. And I just remember I was sitting there. We're at a place called BJ's and I'm just drinking an American iced tea out of a plastic straw and I almost cried right there. I almost started crying. And then yesterday I stopped at the Petrocan on the way to the dog park to walk the dogs. Grabbed a slush or a Slurpee, as you guys call it. And it was like a big paper straw and I was just like, oh, fuck me, man. It's just, yeah, Canada. Even Georgia has paper straws. Yeah, it's like and you know what the funny thing is? I was talking with one of Clary's buddies and he mentioned that one of the justifications that the American lawmakers used to get rid of the paper straws was there's some chemical you have to put into them which really isn't good for the body. So yeah, it's like it's probably killing us. You may be wondering, what is with that title? How the red pill could have saved Canada. It's a bit hyperbolic, isn't it? I would argue, no, it's not. No, it's not hyperbolic. It's actually fairly accurate, fairly, what's the word I'm looking for? Restrained. It's restrained. Because if you don't know, Canada just had an election, and I promise, look, America, don't tune out yet. I know nobody gives a shit about Canada. I get that. But you're going to like this. It has an awesome, red-pilled, praxeological message in here for you, and I think you really do need to see it. Word on the street is you guys are doomed. Well, I mean, okay, so for that, we're expecting to be doomed. The guy hasn't actually done anything yet, so we shall see. Right now, it's all just a bunch of games. People technically just haven't shown up to work since December. So it's pretty hard to screw people over if you're not even there to do the screwing, you know? But back to the red pill part of this thing. And then I promise we're straight onto that for the rest of the hour and a bit. We'll do actionable stuff. Canada had a whole bunch of stuff go wrong. Canadian trucker convoy, War Measures Act, economic destruction, COVID, lockdowns, 20% inflation. Like, just keep piling stuff on. The Prime Minister of Canada at the time, Justin Trudeau, the first pickup artist Prime Minister. If you haven't seen it, he's got something on Radio Canada 3. Radio Canada 3. Where he has this routine where he falls down the stairs, and when the girl goes to see if he's okay, he flirts with her. It's not the greatest, but I mean, the bar for good pickup artist is real low. Real low. Don't assault girls. Actually, oh, fair enough. I guess he is about their average pickup artist. Yeah, so his popularity dropped to like -7% or something like that. So finally his party's like, dude, you gotta go. They bring in a globalist banker, like all the, you remember Zeitgeist, that movie, like all of that stuff. The only thing he's missing is apparently he's Irish, which everybody's like, that's weird. Shouldn't this guy also be a small-hatted person? And they're like, no. Turns out we have some in the waspy world too. All right, fair enough. Yeah, he's literally got a triple citizenship, and he hasn't lived in Canada in like 20 years. So they brought in some foreigner. Canada fell for it. And I was always like, this is stupid. How are we so bad at this? And here's the red pill part. This girl, very pretty looking girl, looks like she's in her late 20s. No husband in her social medias. Name was Laurie Chandler. Laurie Chandler. An Albertan hotel VP. Started tweeting out. Actually, you know what? I got to step back from that. So with that election thing, 30-point lead. Everybody was like, the Conservatives, 30 points ahead. Everywhere. In other words, like, not only was he going to win, he was going to win the biggest majority in Canadian history. And over the series of a couple months, it went from excitement and rabble-rousing, and we're in for it. He gave out this great speech that said, essentially, like he did the same thing Trudeau did. We're like, there's no such thing as Canada. It's a post-national country. But his was like, you know what a good Canadian is? A taxpayer that doesn't bring in their third world blood feuds from 2,000 years ago. And Canadians were kind of like, oh my God. And we kind of just dropped. And then the boomers noticed, oh my God, my housing is going to take a hit. This insane bubble that's been going on for 15 years might end soon. I better vote in the globalist banker because he'll bring in a bunch of immigrants to prop up the housing market. So all this stuff puts together, he loses the election. It was close, but he lost like 5 points. He got Kamala'd. And everybody was very angry and irritated. And why didn't you stick with the message? What were you doing? Everybody noticed a distinct shift in how he approached talking to Canadians. And it was like, it was the same way as if like, oh, buddy's gotten married. Now he starts talking about fucking, yeah, you know what I mean? That stuff. So Laurie Chandler, back to her, sent out a tweet. Dude, greatest election ever. Most girl bosses I've ever seen in an election campaign, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, what the hell? Why are a bunch of chicks sitting here talking about how they ran the greatest conservative campaign that lost? And then I checked. Sure enough, that like the day his like support waned, the day that his message changed, the day that everything went to shit was the day that she started working in there. And then I find out, look in there further, and there is a campaign called Fire Jenny Byrne, or Jenny Byrne. You're like, who the hell is Jenny Byrne? I didn't know who Jenny Byrne is. Let's find out who Jenny Byrne is together and what this has to do with the red pill. The 2025 Conservative Party of Canada national campaign suffered a historic collapse under the mismanagement of Jenny Byrne. Turns out she was the manager of his campaign, picked up right at the time. Everybody noticed he got rid of his nerd glasses. He started working out. He started wearing t-shirts. And then he started talking great. And then he started showing up to every ethnic event in Canada wearing the appropriate ethnic garb, appealing to the immigrants. We're like, what the fuck is this? So this Jenny Byrne girl is the girl. It's like, oh yeah, the people love this stuff. Just go do it. And I'm like, why would he hire this person? And then you look into it, you find out it's his ex-girlfriend. So here, if you guys run a business or, anything important you do, a soccer league, a beer league with baseball, a D&D campaign, Don't hire your ex-girlfriend. Like, let me put it this way. You date a girl. You break up. You leave her for a younger Latin girl. Marry the Latin girl. Have 2 kids. And become the second highest person in the country. And then you're like, hey, I want a promotion. I'm going to hire her to do this. Turns out she lives in Toronto. She lives up here in Toronto. She's a spinster. She's like in her 40s now. No kids, just has an apartment. The literal girl boss. Girl boss. Final girl boss. And he hired her for all this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that she got jealous of his success and how he moved on with a younger and hotter girl and had a family and all that stuff that she wanted but couldn't have. I'm not saying that she sabotaged it. I'm just saying if she did, this is what I would have done. If I would have sabotaged it, this is what I would have done. And I realized it's like, okay, so he's not red-pilled. And so when I say, yeah, he could have saved Canada, I'm not being hyperbolic. Had he just stopped letting girls tell him what was popular and stuck with what made him popular in the first place, he probably would have been fine. You know how hard it is to blow a 30-point lead? It's hard. Oh, sorry, 20-point lead. 20-point lead. Yeah, so there's this whole, and there's like, so people are so mad, they made a whole website just to like yell at this chick, which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It's the Orion Channel one there. Yeah. And then you see the accusations, and it seems really fucking... You guys remember Me Too? All this stuff? It's kind of the same thing. The accusations were she was a control freak, stifled innovation, undermined local efforts, and demoralized long-term supporters. Does that sound like how many people here have had a feminist girl boss? Sounds about right. Talented candidates were muzzled or disqualified in favor of her preferred nominees. And local campaigns atrophied under the thumb of the headquarters. So yeah, she was a control freak and she just ruined everything for everybody. It was actually pretty crazy. I don't think it was. See, Bishop's here, like 10 points was the Trump's 51st state idiocy. I don't think it was. I think, well, I mean, it was a convenient thing, but there's something I've always told you guys is that there's 2 reasons people do things. The reason they tell you, and then the reason they don't. That's the one that matters. I think the whole Trump thing, yeah, it's nice to say, yay, we hate America. That's great. A lot of Canadians are insecure and do that. Sure. But I guarantee you, the boomers won this one. The baby boomers and the immigrants did it. But here's the thing. The boomers didn't care about that. The boomers, everyone I've talked to is like up to their assholes in debt. And their house is taking a hit. Our market's crashing, and so they're panicking. And all this rest of it is just whatever. It's strict financial interests. And of course the migrants are going to vote for them too, because, dude, half of my paycheck comes from the Liberal Party of Canada. Why would I not? And it's just so weird. Now, like I said, this isn't even a politics thing. Like I'm reading through this, and it's just so weird to see stuff that would be almost like ridiculous. If I were to sit here and talk about some relationship field report from Thing, and I was like, yeah, this guy's hiring his ex-girlfriend to run this thing, his new wife and his kids, you'd be like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? But you know what I mean? It's stuff that's very obvious to you, and it's very obvious to me. But then you see people that they're running like way more important stuff than us, with like real consequences, making the stupidest unforced errors. And I'm starting to revisit that whole, is the red pill going to go mainstream? And I'm like, I don't know if it is. Like, clearly it hasn't hit in the sectors that matter. Yeah, that's great that football players are learning to, like, hide their income with their mom. And Drake is putting hot sauce in his condoms. Absolutely wonderful. Still doesn't matter. Still doesn't matter if Poiriev is putting girl boss ex-girlfriend in charge. Lost his own seat too. Jesus. Do you know how, like, I would be angry. I go from having a 30-point lead to losing my job. Because I listened to my ex-girlfriend. Jesus. When you look at stuff like this, I don't know, man. I'm looking at the deals and tax lien sales in Florida from snowbirds who are bankrupt. Oh, that's what I'm wondering. So, like, and I was like, okay, well, you know, whatever. The Liberal guys won. The stock market should do well. Stock market still kind of stagnated. I find it absolutely hilarious that there's the stocks that I've like got like a dozen stocks I kind of look into, and they have all dropped to like the pandemic, the very initial panic of the pandemic. Stocks dropped from like 56 to 13 or whatever. It's like they're like around 14 now. You know, most like whatever they were originally. So yeah, we're officially right now back at COVID panic when it comes to finances. So it's the dip. It's the dip. And housing in the GTA, I don't know if this is true or not, it's dropped 20%. Now, it's hard to say because all these stats are usually really fucking bad. Does that mean that houses are selling and they're worth 20% less? Or does that mean no houses are selling? Because for the longest time, what we had was like prices are up 150%, but nobody was buying because nobody could afford it. And nobody was selling because nobody had to sell. So nobody had to take the hit. And it's once we hit like some kind of debt crisis, some black swan event, that the ball will get rolling on this. And oh my God, we're in for a treat. And to think, your grandparents might end up being homeless because Buddy thought hiring his ex-girlfriend was a good idea. I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe as a red-pilled content creator, I've missed my calling, and that political advisement, like CEOs and politicians, and like, I am here to advise you. The sympathonics or whatever. Rollo talked about a business partner who was blackballed by everybody else in the biz due to him getting married for the 4th time. Basically, the wives ended up being part owners post-divorce. Oh, dude. I read from time to time Rollo's comments. Yeah, I love Rollo, but fuck, his comments are fucking brutal. Why is he so angry? Have you been to one of his live streams? Have you heard his audience? Have you heard his detractors? He was on a DHS watch list. If the man wants to vent, let the man vent. I think he's earned it. Anyways, maybe 20 perfect in there have a clue about praxeology. So how does anybody else expect anybody knowing more than the container words? Oh, absolutely. Raj Kuti. That's $1 New Zealand dollar. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the support, always. Do we have a repeat of Athol K story only in Canadian politics? I think we do. I just don't know how else to see it. Like, he knows all this stuff. He was a Bitcoin bro. Before this, he was talking about Bitcoin. He was talking about the World Economic Fund and the evil globalist conspiracies. He was one of us. The only thing he was missing is the outright anti-Semitism, but I'm pretty sure that's just edgy Jewish kids in America that do that. I don't think real people care that much about the small-hatted types. Yeah, the vice president of the manosphere, exactly. It gets you thinking, though, too, right? How much of the disasters we're seeing in corporate America, in the political realms, and that how much of that is due to women without kids and nothing better to do than to fuck shit up. Which is crazy, because as a guy, if you have your fuck shit up phase, that's like 16 to 23. You're young, dumb, stupid, you'll be a punk, shoplift, whatever. Girls are pulling it off in their 40s now. They're like, hey, now that I got a TFSA and a $500,000 condo, it's time to fuck some shit up. It's like, dude. And I don't know. And I always know, like, you can't red pill your friends. Everybody knows that. You try red pilling somebody who's not wanting it or not ready for it or hasn't experienced the pain to understand it or to want to understand it. He'll fuck you up. He'll throw you under the bus. He'll rat you out to everybody else. He'll turn you into a social pariah because he wants good boy points. It's the same as trying to save a drowning man. You approach him foot first. You approach him from behind, because if you approach him from the front, if you approach him hand out, he will grab you and he will drag you down to hold him up to get a little bit more air before the both of you drown. Do not try to save a drowning man. And if you do find a drowning man and he does grab onto you, the only advice I can give you is dive. Dive down, because that guy will drag you everywhere. He will follow you to the ends of the earth to stay above the water. The only place he won't go is down to the bottom. What does that metaphor even mean? Be extra misogynist. I don't know. Yeah, so it gets you thinking. I mean, there's always the story of Bill Gates and who's the stupid Amazon guy? The Lex Luthor. You know the Lex Luthor guy? I can't remember his name right now. Their wives got like $300 billion, and everybody's like, well, actually, they earned it because they were there before. Yeah, whatever. All I know is they're like sitting out there funding Troon bathtub surgery foundations with $300 billion. The guy built Amazon. The guy built Microsoft. And now half of that empire is going to putting Troons in the bathroom. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Raj again with another New Zealand dollar. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the support. Jeff Bezos, that's the guy. Yeah, same with Bitcoin. Never mention it to friends. I answer if they ask me only. Yeah, it's just not worth it. By the way, so the Jenny Burns site, I'll put it in here again. It's just so funny. Like, if you go to it, this is, bro, whoever did this is like 1996 or 1998 GeoCities. I have not seen a website that looks like this since the late 90s. The only thing it's missing is an animated GIF of a skull turning in circles and a dancing baby. It's got everything. The background is like a gradient. When was the last time you saw a gradient background? The text is like obnoxious yellow and white. And it's just like a long list of text. There's no links. There's no JavaScript. There's no nothing. It's just like, welcome to John Smith and this is my blog. Holy Jesus. Yeah, created by Concerned Creative Conservatives or Concerned Conservative Canadians. The CCC. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that won't be taken out of context. Is that like the KKK but for Canada? No, it's just the CCC. It's a piece of work. Like, this belongs in a museum. All right, anyways, enough of that. It's too bad too, because like, so here, last thing, I promise I'm off of this now. I'm off of this. But that's the chick. Don't harass, don't follow, don't whatever. She doesn't care. She's earning money. Like, what are you going to do anyway? But you look at her. It's like, dude, she's a looker. She looks like she's in her late 20s, early 30s. And she looks like she has no man. But whatever, man. Wood. You know what I mean? Wood. And I think that's the worst part. Is that, like, you'd think they're on your side. Oh, she's a conservative. I'm a conservative. Oh, she's Canadian. I'm Canadian. She's gorgeous. Oh, well, I'm thirsty. It's a match made in heaven. You got people that are claiming to be on your side. They aren't some, like, ugly, distorted pastiche of what you believe in. They're like, oh, yeah, they care. They put appearance. And that's it. And there's the red-pilled lesson for you, too. Sometimes it's your best fans that do the most damage to you. Somebody mentioned Athol K earlier. And this is a perfect example. If you guys don't remember Athol K, he's the one who wrote the Male Action Plan, which was I don't want to say like it crawled so that praxeology could walk. I'll put it that way. The Male Action Plan, Married Man Sex Life Primer. I know he's got another one. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. It's usually a lot of the sidebar stuff is from him. I'll put it that way. His Married Man Sex Life Primer forums were a precursor to the Married Red Pilled subreddit, which is a precursor to like the My Praxeology space. So it's like, no hate on that stuff. Was doing absolutely good work, sorted out his marriage, started it as a business, was doing well for himself. Then, you know what? I'm doing well. We're doing well. She's treating me like a good wife. She wants to help out. And you know what? It's a business now. Yeah, come on into the company, madam. Puts his wife in charge. And almost immediately, fucking, I can't really whistle, but it's like, you know the whistle where it's like, out of here, that one. What the hell are you talking about? First thing she did, we brought in a couple of her cuck friends to help her moderate the forums. And then all of a sudden, anything any guy had that may not have been beneficial to women, may have sounded mean, whatever, they were just nuked. It was like a running gag. This is like way back in 2011, 2012, 2013. There was a running gag, and I remember reading it. It was so funny, where a guy was like, yeah, so if you see advice on here and the account is, and like, don't listen to it unless the account has been banned and the post came before 2013. And that was like, and it was like a very highly upvoted or whatever they do it in the forum days, A highly respected post. Everybody just kind of knew. Don't put the girl in charge, and anything the girl did after she was in charge, it's absolutely useless. And what happened to the end? Athol K got a heart attack or something like that. His business tanked because everybody just left. Nobody showed up to his workshops anymore because, like, why would I leave my nagging bitch wife to come here to learn to be better and to have 5 new nagging bitch forum moderators and speakers instead? I'm not trying to transfer my nagging. I'm trying to remove it. So they just stopped showing up. There was no rigmarole. There was some rebellion, but the mods shut that shit down. So people were like, you know what? Fuck it. And they're out. And then Athol got his heart attack, and then they were broke, bankrupt. Whole thing went to shit. Which is crazy, because if you think about it, happy man, happy marriage, awesome business, solid business plan. Puts his woman in charge. None of that mattered. She didn't want it to fail. She wanted it to succeed. She wanted it to do her best, but she just couldn't get out of her own way. You know? And I'm seeing it again with the Dominion of Canada, aka Rhodesia Light. Rhodesia Right. Raj Cuddy, $2 New Zealand. Jesus effing Christ, I have to pay words here to thumbs up. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Well, Raj, what you can do normally is if you just want to throw like $1 for support, whatever, just do a normal comment underneath it as the next comment. I do read through the comments, so I won't miss it. But thank you very much for the support, sir. Oh, Scarred Thumb's here too. By the way, if you haven't been to the Scarred Thumb podcast, you got to get down there. I enjoy it. I don't get a chance to watch it every week live, but I do always go back and check it out. It's like a lot of gamer news, but yeah, I'm like you, and it's my leisure time. If I'm doing leisure time, it's probably playing a game, playing with dogs, whatever. It's one of the many vices I have in my life. And I don't have the time or the wherewithal to look up what happened with Blizzard and Diablo, and I really don't give a shit about Jeremy from the Quartering. I'm tired of him talking about Kathleen Kennedy. I'm tired of the Critical Drinker talking about Kathleen Kennedy. So the thing that I love about Scarred Thumb is that Dave's kind of like, oh, he kind of aggregates everything, gives it to you in a very succinct package. So I enjoy it. If you enjoy it, go check it out. I hope he puts a link to the channel here because it's definitely worth. Back to our scheduled programming. Silver Bishop, €5 super chat. A heartfelt to you, Couch. A heartfelt to you too, Sir Bish. I already know what you're after, so fucking, you got it. You want an old Murph? Let's do it.
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
It says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline,
I am now concerned for my career.
And I'm still recommending clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. You should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
When I was in Oman for my deployment back in 2008, we were in Muscat. I think it's pronounced Muscat. Is Mish here? I need an Arabic translator for the Farsi. I think it was Muscat. They taught me the best cup of coffee you never knew you had. If you guys ever get a chance, go to like an Indian grocery store, or maybe they have it at Joe Fresh or whatever you guys call that one. The fancy soccer mom grocery store that everybody loves now. And you find yourself green cardamom pods. It has to be green. Don't get the black ones. I don't know what the black ones taste like. They have a very pungent lemony scent and taste to them. When you grind your morning coffee bean, take two pods, maybe 3 if you want to go crazy. Grind them in with your coffee, and then you add the cardamom to this. Oh my God. Best cup of coffee you'll ever had. It makes it taste like lemony scent, lemony fresh. And I mean that in a good way. Anyways, back to Bishop's one. Heartfelt to you, Couch. I worked my ass off for the last 5 days, and now I'm enjoying doing nothing till Tuesday. Oh, dude. The best feeling in the world is a job well done and a vacation well earned. I am so glad Don't remember if you have one or not, but I'm so glad if or if not you have a wife that's not bothering you by filling that time. And now Derek, €5 super chat. Understanding red pill is also the key with having women in the office and bureaucracy. Women mostly emoting instead of doing real work. Oh, God, yeah. That's something that I don't find it odd. I don't find it odd that red pill guys aren't talking about office dynamics in the red pill with men and women. The reason I don't find it odd is because most red pill guys don't have jobs and have never had a job. Like Anthony Johnson hasn't done shit. He has never worked anywhere. He had a stupid convention. That Spurgio guy that everybody, I don't even, if you don't know who these people are, that's actually a good thing. Don't worry about it. That Spurgio guy, he doesn't look like he does shit. Does he look like he does? He might be that guy that holds the little cards of all the hookers in Vegas and collects them together to try and get your attention. That might be a job I could see him having. Who is the fat smashed can of assholes guy? John Anthony. There's no way in fuck he had a job. If it wasn't for his charming, like, there's no way he wasn't fired immediately. Like, there's no red-pilled stuff on office dynamics because none of these people know how to fucking work for a living. They don't know how to form a relationship with a business associate for more than like 2 weeks without screwing them over. Fuck that. Some of you guys may like MLD John, some of you may not like MLD John. He did spend a substantial amount of his life as a teacher, working around children, and did it well. So say what you want, he at least knows how to hold down a job. Uh-oh. FYI, Bob, $5 super chat. This is the career ender, I can tell. Shout out to Elijah Schaefer tweeting out, "We must protect our own when it comes to displaying a single mom saying the N-word." Okay, off topic. Also kind of funny. This isn't red pill. This is fucking drama. Yes. I apologize now. I'll stop yelling into the camera too. If you guys don't know, there was a news report coming out. Some kid was in a tent at like a track meet. I guess it's like you rent a tent when you're at like a sporting event and then you get your private area. Some dude was there. He may or may not have been trying to steal things. He may have just been like ducking out of school. Nobody really knows. There's not a clear answer. The people who own the tent, a couple kids, were like, "Hey, you're in our tent, get out." And then the guy said no, stabbed a kid in the chest, killed him. Now the stabby guy was African American, and the kid was a white guy. Everybody was mad. Everybody got really mad when the dad was like, "Okay, guys, let's just not be racist. I forgive them for killing my boy." And everybody's like, "What the hell is wrong with these people?" So you can already see trouble brewing. And then on top of that, he goes to the black kids conference because he wants to like have like a moment of forgiveness. Kid kicks him out of the conference. He's like, "Get out of here. I'm trying to raise money." Raises $500,000 on GoFundMe, buys a new house, moves out of the ghetto, lives happily ever after. Almost want to call that one an assassination for money, but whatever. This week, some like trailer park mom, single mom, I don't know, tattooed, all the weird stuff that you see here, sees a little ethnic kid stealing something out of her diaper bag, calls him an N-bomb, and then some Somalian dude who was hanging out at a playground with no kids and who was just who was already charged with with the diddling, put her on blast for saying the N-bomb, which it's such a, yeah. Anyway, so she gets a GoFundMe. It's raised, I don't know how much it's raised for the same thing. So it appears we have this like weird financial proxy race war going on in the States. I find it hilarious. I mean, it's better than people just stabbing, like, and what was it? The one tweet that made me laugh the most about it, and I don't mean to make light of this because somebody died, but somebody was talking about the gender pay gap is ridiculous. This guy, to get $500,000, had to stab a dude in the chest, and this girl just has to say a gamer word for the same money. It's like 70 cents on the dollar for guys. Made me laugh. So yeah, Elijah Schaefer, I guess he's doing the protect, and that's the two narratives. Is racism wrong, or do we need to stick together? And yeah, it's a mess. It's fun if you don't take it too seriously. It's a little scary, but hey, it's what is what it is. Anyways, back to this. Yeah, they don't have jobs. And I'll say, like, I knew that myself. When I left the military, my first career switch after that was working with financial information or financial regulation. It was a pretty sweet gig too. Smaller, like a medium-sized company, very intimate and whatever. I had my director, she was a former Deloitte, in fact, most of the people I was working with there were former Deloitte execs. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I learned so much about the consulting world from these people. Mostly that it's exactly the same as a sailing ship on a deployment. Oh yeah, the time when, yeah, she would, but here was the funny thing. So everybody was a very Toronto corporate guy. They're small, they're timid, whatever. And then there's me. You know me. I'm the loudmouth sailor. Got tattoos, whatever. Anyways, it started one day I was at a business meeting. I'm wearing my pink shirt, but it's a thinner shirt, so you can see my half sleeve through the shirt. And I'm sitting here, I'm giving the brief on, what was it? Something about, it was either identity and access management or on data retention policy. Like very dry stuff, and it was fairly important why you'd want it from a risk perspective, a monetary thing. Crushing it, by the way. She just goes over, is like, do you have a tattoo? And I was like, yeah, like right in the middle of this. Anyways, didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, like after that, she starts telling me stories, like lewd stories. Yeah, I've always wondered what Tinder was like and that stuff. And my husband this. Throwing out feelers, basically saying she's DTF. Asian girl, too. She was about my age. Good looking. And I was just like, no. Thankfully, I never had yellow fever. So I could see one of these weird guys online being like, dude, you hit the motherland. An Asian boss wants to schlup you? I was like, relax. Yeah, so it was constantly stuff like that. Now here's the thing. She wasn't a bad boss, but you could definitely tell the more flirtatious she got with me and the more flirtatious I got with her, the easier my workload went, the better my performance was, etc., etc. And the people that were not as flirtatious, were not as attractive, or not as easy to get along with, they tended to be a little harder done by. And I have seen that in the military, I have seen that in corporate, I have seen that everywhere. It's just, if she likes you, you can do no wrong. If she doesn't like you, nothing you do is ever good enough. It really is the case of these people in the workplace with female bosses have a de facto marriage on their hands. Oh my God. Ryan, you didn't do the Asian girl? I was happy. I'm happy at the time with my girl. I really didn't feel like going out on a limb for all this stuff. Host, I'm an American, or at least I think I... What an Indian thing to say, sir. Or at least I think I am. I was born here back in the 80s, blue pill. Red pill is a Matrix reference. Why the reference? Is that a real question? Don't look into it too much. The whole idea of the red pill, blue pill thing, like the Matrix was just out and Fight Club had just came out, and guys were liking the idea of there being two distinct views of the world. There was a realistic one that you can observe, and there was a fake one that was being put upon you. It actually started, and the references started earlier, but from a red pill, like the red pill, was... I'm pulling it up now. There she is. It actually came from this. I'll put the link in the chat. Hawaiian libertarian Keone Galt. He had a game as red-pilled essay back in the old blog days. Now this is like Royce was brand new. Rollo was just starting Rational Mail, I think, a year later. So, like, this is the earliest of the early. Excuse me. And he noticed this, that, and the example he used was the emasculation paradox, where guys are terrified of getting divorced, and so they submit to their wives in hopes that she won't get mad and divorce them. Turns out, though, that them not being strong, independent, and not putting up with their girl's shit actually makes it worse. And that's the paradox. So it was a very interesting thing, and it was just a interesting reference to red pill being what's real and the blue pill being some fake pastiche of the world that you think of, and it just took off from there. Yeah, so it's not even harsh truth or comfortable lie. You guys got to stop with the adjectives. The adjectives ruin things, man. Harsh truth. Truth doesn't have a harshness to it. Truth is just truth. And it's not about truth anyway. Red pill has always been about utility. What works? What's effective? Truth is good insofar as it achieves that goal, but it's not required. And if you're wondering, doesn't that sound a lot like your description of womanese? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it is. Do you know that I'd say 80% of the mental models and strategies in the red pill are just feminine strategies adopted to male sensibilities? You will be surprised when you find out. Because we're in a civilized nation right now. You're in a civilized nation. And the one thing about civilization, and we've known this ever since like Beowulf, Sargon of Akkad, like the original one. What was that story they had? The very first epic, Gilgamesh. Everybody's known since then that civilization meant feminization. And so, yeah, so these feminized things that the women do, turns out they're actually very effective in a civilized environment. And so men are like, oh, let's just take them, use them for ours. And it things that work. But it's not necessarily that they're true. If things are true, it does make it a lot easier to use them. But if you really want to do truth, here's a great example. If you want to do what a man truly does, you need to be the most sacrificial guy ever. You need to sacrifice everything for your woman. You need to make sure she has as many kids as possible. And you need to die anytime she's discomfortable, stuff like that. That is the truth. Most of us are here today because our predecessors were sacrificial on a scale that we cannot even fathom. So that's truth. Do you want that? I don't want that. I am not going to light myself on fire to keep whamming warm. No. So yeah, truth does not matter. Utility does. Truth just so happens to be a very good utility tool. I love how you and Clary take little shots at each other. What? Clary's saying mean things about me? I'm offended, sir. I've had nothing but nice things to say about that fucking retard. And he's to come in here, oh, he doesn't like hiking. Of course I don't like hiking. Who likes hiking? Nobody likes hiking. Do you know what the original hikers did? They were doing that because they wanted to get to their new house. They weren't hiking because they wanted to. Do you think if Oregon Trail had a car, they would have still been hiking? Fuck that. They'd have drove in the Humvee. Stop talking about the movie, man. It's not about the movie. The red pill is about the movie about as much as that whole alpha thing is about fucking lions and what's that stupid animal reference they use? Lions and wolves. Very, very, very loose reference to it. That's it. And technically, if you really want to do the Matrix thing, what he's talking about is the difference between simulacra and simulation. And you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Turns out there's like it's very clear to understand. You just got to get rid of all that stupid philosophical jerking myself out jargon. A simulation is something that simulates the real world. So, podcast, great example. I know how to have a conversation with somebody. A podcast is a simulated conversation from me to you. A simulacrum is something that simulates a simulation. In other words, it has no tie to reality. And that's when you get a bunch of like red pill guys on here just ranting about fuck it, the women do this and the Jews are this. And it's like completely untethered from reality. Those are simulacrums. And arguably, when you talk about the red pill stuff that we talk about, yeah, women saying, oh, they just like nice men. They like a man who does the dishes. They like dad bod, stuff like that. That's simulacrum. They're not actually basing it on what have they seen guys actually like. They haven't based it on what do I like. They're saying things that are socially good for them to say. People clap like seals when I say, you know what's the greatest thing ever is guys who pay your rent. It's like, oh, that's great. It's not. That's a simulacrum. Simulation is like, yeah, these hoes ain't loyal, stuff like that. Well, even on that side, there's kind of stuff that. So yeah, don't be sorry about it. We're going to talk about the movie on the other channel. We're talking about movies on the other channel though. That's going to be in about like 10 minutes. So I guess after all this, I mean, I talked about everything I hate talking about on podcasts. I did the first bit on politics, a whole bunch of shit on the Matrix movies, and then some random shit about gossip about Athol K, which is like, yeah, this is the trifecta of what the fuck is this waste of time. Yeah, my predecessors were the most violent psychopathic simps in the medieval world. You serf must do as I say. To be fair, I don't think many of us had medieval royalty in our history. Most of us would have been those serfs. Most people would have. And even those who aren't, like, we're so detached from that. Anyways, whatever. So the actionable thing is to, like, really, you can like your woman, you can love your woman, you can have an amicable divorce or a separation, you can move on and have a nice family and brand new kids and a great life, and you can rise to the top of your profession. Don't trust your woman. Not with the important stuff. And it's not, because it's like, they didn't work for it. They didn't earn it. They were with you when you worked for it. They were with you when you earned it. And they want you to succeed. But they don't know how that happens. And here's the thing. If you don't know what you're doing, you like to think in times of stress that you'll rise to the occasion. But you don't. You don't rise to the occasion. You lower to your level of training. And you could be Jenny Byrne, the spinster who missed out on the most popular conservative in Canada. Almost could have had, husband and kids and a house and lived a wonderful life, but you didn't. And you may think you are happy for him, and you may think that you want what he wants politically, and you may think you want the country to be the way he wants the country to be, but in the end, you're still a girl. You didn't do what he had to do. You didn't develop the skills that he had to develop, and you're going to ruin it. And I'm not even saying that to shit on you. It's like, she probably really wanted him to win too, and I think that's the worst part. The worst part isn't that she was evil and tried to steal it from him. That could be... evil can be reasoned with. Evil can be understood. Evil has a motivation. Motivations can be negotiated. But you can't fix stupid. You can't fix naive. And you can't pick somebody who's focused on their feelings as opposed to the objective outcomes. And yeah, maybe you're a business owner. Maybe you're a red-pilled content creator. Maybe you were sitting in a group chat with you and Jack Murphy and George Bruno and Ivan Throne and Rollo Tomasi when everybody's like, you know what? I'm going to start a red-pilled podcast with my wife and we're going to do it together. And then Rollo and Ryan, for example, be like, dude, no. Fucking no. Trust me, no. Here's the story of Athol K. Have you ever heard Pelagius the Wise? And then they're like, all right, get out of here. You guys are two Puritans. And it's like, all right. Jack Murphy decided to leave because he was tired of our Puritan stuff and he was going to go make his fortune his own way. And you saw how that went. Ross the Skunk, $5 super chat. Good morning, couch. Never hire your ex. Fucking duh. Yet here we are, man. Here we are. I'm sitting in Rhodesia 2.0. Electric Venezuela. And of course you should know that. Medieval serfs were at least free from military service. Were they? I gotta admit, my medieval knowledge isn't what it should be. My World War II, my medieval Europe, and my, what's the other one? Roman Empire stuff. It's just not up to spec. My World War I Air Force stuff's pretty good. I can talk about Manfred von Richthofen for days, and Rene Fonck, and, what's his name? Curtis Brown. Was it Curtis Brown? He's the Canadian pilot. Talk about those guys. Not so much on the Austrian painter. Other than that, he makes liberals very happy, very mad, very happy, very sad. Yeah, Def Ninja the Wise. Or Roman McClay, the other guy, the fucking mass murderer. Got Me Too'd by a chick in some masculinity conference. Is she still around? We're going to move on, but I have to know if Cake in a Crisis is still here. Oh, that's not her. All right, what's her name? We're going to find out. If you guys don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, boy. So, Cake in a Crisis was one of these... Maybe. There's a Cake in a Crisis account, but it's not the same one. Looks like a guy this time. All right, anyways. So, small story, and then we're going to move on to the Orion channel. We're going to talk about spy thrillers, because it's such a better use of our time. Cake in a Crisis, Roman McClay, and I think Tanner Guzzi. A whole bunch of these, like, Christian, fundamental guys that latched onto the red pill thing, like an alpha male thing. We can build things and chop wood and be men. And every now and then we were on mostly good speaking terms, and everybody's like, yeah, the event's coming. Yeah, you guys can't come. We're like, yeah, that's cool. Any advice? And we're like, yeah, everybody would kind of give little bits of advice here and there. Anyway, so one of them guys decided to try and invite Cake in a Crisis, a chick who was divorced, talking about how traditional families and husbands and fathers are important. And it was always weird. Like, you know, have you ever dated a borderline girl where it's like one day is nice and then one day is not nice? You can kind of see oh, there's some crazy in there. She's just hiding it well. Anyways, one day she lets it slip. The reason she divorced her husband was her kids were sick and with the flu, and her husband wanted to take nude photos of her because I guess he found her attractive, and he thought the idea of a candid nude would be attractive. And she was like, how dare you? The kids are sick. You monster. I know that's not why she left him, but that's the story she gave, which was just the fact she told that story thinking, yeah, this makes me look like the hero in this story. So left him, kind of went crazy. They brought her to think, we need more women on our side. And she came in there and she's like, yeah, this guy gives me the ick, this guy gives me the hick, and this Roman McClay guy, he gives me the ick. So the guy's like, well, fucking, you can't argue with science. Sorry, guys, you got to go. And it wasn't just like privately messaged, like, hey, man, you should go. We'll do this next time. It was, I want to declare that officially Roman McClay is off the list. He is not sustainable as an alpha male. And Roman's like, what the fuck is this shit? Anyways, in this case, though, she was kind of right with him giving her the ick. Because he did end up shooting 5 people and then suicided by cop about a year later. To which Rule Zero Dad still is one of the few people who has his euchre board. I don't know if anybody else has that euchre deck, but I would be tempted to. I would love to buy it off of you. I know Chesty's never going to get rid of his, but if any of you have that Roman McClay euchre deck, I would be happy to pay top dollar for it. Just reach out to me on Twitter. It'll be awesome. All right, last story, and then we're moving on. This has nothing to do with anything. This is just me being happy. If you guys don't know, Twitter has been turning into shit lately. Absolute shit. Horrible. Everything is just engagement bait. It's all the worst slop ever. It's just Bob's and Vagine everywhere. And everyone's like, why? And it turns out because Twitter had their payout system, and they were paying everybody based on the universal metrics. So for the most part, you would earn like 20 to 60 bucks a month. Not a lot. Not really worth it. Unless you live in sub-Saharan Africa or the Southeast Asia. Indians were loving it. Dude, $60 US in India? You're living like a king. So every call center scammer was just going hard on like fucking bullshit accounts. Anyways, finally, people like Twitter was down. Everybody's just like, nobody was ready for the subcontinent on Twitter. I'm just saying right now. So everybody was just like, I'm fucking out of here. So Elon finally changed. He's like, all right, every view is not the same. An Indian scammer view is not worth the same as a New York Times reading $100,000 a year subscriber. And so India is big mad. There is a hashtag, no payout, no premium. And they're all rebelling against the system. And it's awesome. It's just fun. And it's so funny because I made a comment on it. I'm like, oh yeah, India's big mad. And I just put like people bitching and then showing the content they were putting out. So it's like, yeah, the guys that were bitching are the ones just showing ugly chicks making out, hopefully to get payouts. And they were doing follow for follow and all kinds of scam. Basically slop. And now I'm watching like, it's just a constant list of people filling in of just like enjoying the misery. I haven't seen people this happy since they fired all those journalists and got them told to learn to code. It's like wonderful times. Yeah, I don't know why we don't just let our men be untimely with their silly notions that cost us nothing. You can't. If you're a girl, you have to. Anyways, so we're going to move on. Next thing going to be spy thrillers. Before I go, do not forget the Dog Walker is still out there. Let me do the ad for it quick. Where the fuck did I put it? Jeez, I gotta come up with like an easier system for picking the names because it's hard to find. There's too many of them now. Who'd have thunk all these guys I make fun of and have so much fun with, and now it's like, is that it? No, it's this one.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kurt Vonnegut. I'm looking for
Ryan Stone.
What's that? Fuck me. Hey, Kurt, you read lips. Fuck you.
Nice. Actually, one of the guys in the Patreon gave it a review, and it was funny because like he definitely like read it properly because all the stuff I was trying to do, it worked. He's like, yeah, at first I was just not feeling it. I thought Ryan was overselling it. The character was completely unlikable. And I was like, holy fuck, it's an honest review. This is awesome. And then he's like, yeah, and as it going on, I kind of understood and I got it and now I love it. And I was like, oh, thank God. That was like one of the risks you take, because the character at the beginning, part of his arc, went from being like a snivelly little promise keeper and then turning himself into like a respectable, normal person. The problem with making an unlikable character is if you do it really well, you still have an unlikable character. It's kind of like the cover. It doesn't look like the cover of the book you would expect to read, so it's like, oh, no expectations. But it did well. It's good. He ranked me as better than one sci-fi, but worse than others. That was Slaughterhouse-5. How did you do that? Well, the trick is you just write a good book and you market it well. You'd be surprised how easy it is to beat a book that's 60 years old if you put a little bit of effort into it. No, that's not AI generated. Dude, I know how to edit videos. Jesus. What do you think? I'm not skilled? I know what the fuck I'm doing. I got talents. Yeah, so it's a great story. If you know the concept of a promise keeper here in the Red Pill, you'll recognize the character. A promise keeper does his best to try not to be like his misogynist stepfather, learning that by him trying to be a good man, it actually turns him into that evil man. So, through a series of sexual encounters, he learns how to properly adjust and survive and thrive in the world. It is a funny story with moments of seriousness in it. It's pretty good. And if you want an epilogue to it, I've got essays on both Substack and the Twitter article, where I have like an epilogue for it. I call it the was it two gay funerals, or the gay military funeral? One sec, I gotta look up my article. I'll put it in here. You can give it a read if you want to. Okay, so I called it two military funerals. It technically is supposed to be the two gay military funerals, but I felt the title was a little bit too edgy. It's not actually trying to be edgy. It's trying to be a real... but when you read it, you'll understand. So that's kind of the epilogue of it. But yeah, The Dog Warrior, it's a really good book. And you're going to find... You may be like me, you don't like reading books. I don't like reading. I find most books are fucking annoying to read. And I thought maybe it's because I have ADHD. Maybe it's because there's something wrong with me, whatever. It turns out it's just because you haven't read good books. People don't write good books anymore. People write long, convoluted, sloppish books anymore. So this is a book that was written for guys that don't like to read books. And don't get me wrong, and then I found out, like, I started to read old Hemingway stuff, and I started to read old Hardy Boys again. I'm like, oh, I actually like reading. I just hate reading bad books. So there's that one. And now, I'm almost finished it now. The second rewrite is 20 words from being finished right now. Jake Long in Softbone. It's a new cyberpunk thriller. So I'm doing that one up too now. And we're going to have something a little more science fiction-y that you might enjoy coming out. If you want to follow along with that, join my Substack, the Ryan Stone Substack. Oh, I should put a link to that one too. I should really be better with this stuff. I should be. But we'll get there. Holy shit! I'm number 10 in philosophy! Wow, I'm fucking awesome! Good for me, man. Apparently, Clary was right. I am a philosopher. Oh, fucking who'da thunk? I'm just trying to get to the goddamn site. They make it so hard to go to... There it is. There it is. Not interested in sexuality, which is funny because sexuality is probably the least important part of the book. The one guy got... I've had two bad reviews. The first review was somebody who didn't read it and was trying to attack me. The worst review was the guy who was like, I was expecting literotica. Even my girl, when she read it, she's like, yeah, you do this thing where like you like fade to black like they used to do in the 70s movies. It's because it's actually a character arc in there because the guy was so focused on being perfect, having the right, stuff in his house, having the perfect like approach, the perfect game, being autistic about dating. He essentially doesn't pay attention to what's happening in the moment. And so the idea that the sex he has in there is so... like it's not described at all. It's like almost like it isn't, like it's happening, but you don't know what's going on. And that's because he's not paying attention to what's happening in the moment. And I found it was like a great, because A, I don't want to write smut, but B, as a character showing the character, I thought it was a great way of showing, not just telling. And yes, Praxeology 4 will be coming out this summer. It's going to be a continuation of Praxeology 3, more field reports, more stories. I'm probably going to play with that for a bit. I might even do a third one. But the third one is going to be more so the grab bag of mental models. Because there is, like, I've realized as I've been going through with the well, it was Patreon, but that's moving to Substack now too. That's a different one. That's the workshops. As I've been going through, there's a ton of, like, one-off mental models that never quite fit into frame. They never quite fit into Dread, and they're just sitting there. And I'm like, dude, I should put these all together in, like, a list of all the mental models you were never told about. Anyways, so the last thing here before we move on is, so if you're in a relationship, I actually do workshops. I used to be a teacher. I taught swimming lessons as a kid. In the military, I was a fleet school instructor along with my many other jobs and deployments and that. So I actually do workshops with this stuff. It's a syllabus. It's not some male community of men and holding each other. None of that shit. It's literally, here is a syllabus. Here is a course material. Here is an objective. We are teaching it. Get to work. You have your homework assignments. You have your field reports. You learn how to write field reports. You learn how to apply field reports. You learn how to apply praxeology in your life. It's geared towards guys in relationships, but if you're not in a relationship, there's single and divorced guys in there, so they do fine too. I am not singing there with like a how to get laid course, so be warned right now. I'm not there to coddle. It's interesting. Talk to somebody who's been a part of it. If they're willing to share, I try to be discreet about it. I don't really talk about it outside of class, because like that's the only way honesty works, is with discretion. But if any of them are in here, I know some are. If they want to tell you about it, if it's worth, if it's not worth, you can trust their opinion. I've always honesty. Like, even if you don't like something from me or Rolo or whatever, as long as you're honest about it, I don't really care. I would rather somebody be here for the right reasons than be here getting swindled because they thought there was something else. Anyways, on that note, let's go have some fun. So I'm going to take a minute, make myself a G Fuel, get the gamer lights going again, and then we're going to start talking about espionage and spy thrillers. Oh, one sec. I missed a super chat. Siege D, $5, 1 cent. You know what's funny? People are like, Ryan, Rolo, Aaron, all these guys, they're all like, oh, this sounds like one of the guys from Ryan's community. Anybody who sends them like a $5, 1 cent super chat, oh, it's one of Ryan's guys. I think it's hilarious that people can tell who's part of like this chat just based on their super chats. Makes me laugh. I think it's the most wonderful thing ever. Does Canada at least have a Dunkin' Donuts coffee? No, we do not. No, we do not. We have Tim Hortons, the piece of shit pretending to be nationalism. Because what's more Canadian than a vague loyalty to a commercial product? Yeah, we have Tim Hortons. And to be fair, I've been to both Timmy's and Dunkin' Donuts. I don't like either, but I will say, so Timmy's used to be kind of cheap coffee, cheap donuts, but American Dunkin' Donuts was more like cheap coffee, cheap donuts, but it tasted fattier. So it had it was more addictive. That's really the only difference I could do. Now it's the company that hires a bunch of Indian migrants to like feed you moldy food. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. Anyways, enough of me ranting and being racist. Let's just enjoy ourselves, and I'll see you. It's automatically going to direct you to the new podcast, by the way, so you don't have to do anything.
$79T 2458 Learning Corp Little Red Riding Hood, take one.
"40 years of my life is in the